Hi and welcome back to another video of jPlay. I'm Marcus, and as I've promised, I will start a full playthrough as of today. And as you can see it here, I will be doing a playthrough of The Walking Dead, the board game. When you check out the artwork, you will notice that I will be doing a playthrough about the comic book version of this game. There's also a game out there that is focused on the TV show. I have to admit I like both, so I'm a huge fan of the comic books and I'm also a huge fan of the TV show. But as you can see it here, this game is all about the comic book. Today I will do a solitaire play of this game. You will notice from the rules here that there is a version that ships with the rules. The problem with it is they are not specifically well designed. You can do that in order to learn the game and to face the challenges that are all around Atlanta. But I think I will focus on the solitaire variant by Bobby Doran, and this is called Atlanta Be Damned. You can find it at Board Game Geek, and really thank you so much for sharing this with the community. I have to admit I have never tried this version before. I only played the solo variant once, the original solo variant, but I really said, okay, let's give this a try. There were some responses in the appropriate forum and they were really encouraging, so I will definitely give it a try today. First of all, we have to determine a starting character. We do that at random. I only wanted to show all the 6 starting characters that are available in this game. So we have Rick, Andrea, Dale, Glenn, Shane and Tyrese. And I think I will give them a good shuffle and then we will draw one starting character. So let's do that. Okay, let's give them a good shuffle, and I really promise I won't cheat here. Let me drop our character. And this is, come on, this is Rick. Isn't that nice? The next thing to do is we would have to place Rick on his starting location here on our player board. In the multiplayer game, each player has its own player board, of course. I will show you all the other parts of this player board in any second now. And the next thing would be to prepare his dice pool. And currently this dice pool consists of these 3 blue dice. The good thing about the blue dice is that they also show this wildcard symbol here, which can be either or an action or a kill zombie phase, and this can be pretty helpful. The next thing that we would have to do is to draw a starting random follower from this deck, and as you can see there are several more followers in this deck than you have starting characters, and this is really good. As you might know, I really am a big fan of randomness. Okay, we will give the deck a good shuffle. I would be really surprised if we would be drawing Carl now, but let's see. So this is now our card, and this is Julie. For once, have a quick glance at her portrait. I really like the artwork of the comic books, so I like the style. And then we will check out her special abilities. When Julie joins your party, which she did just now, we will gain 1 food and 1 gas. This is always welcome, of course. And we would get an additional green die here. And the green die is also more or less providing us with a symbol of dead zombies, but also action dice. And this green die is really focused on action dice. So this die is really better off when using actual action tests, but I will come to that at a later point in time. Okay, let's put Julie to our side of our game board. We will add the green die to our dice pool. And next thing we will adjust our scales here. And she's bringing us 1 gas and 1 food. Nice. Now we come to the first deviation for this Atlanta Be Damned solo rules. Normally we would draw 5 additional followers and put them on the appropriate start locations of all the other players. But in this scenario we will only go for 3 followers. But we really have to rescue these 3 followers before we can actually reach our final goal. So let's see, this is our first card. This is Ben. Then we have Dwayne Jones. And we have Rachel. We will now place these, or the tokens for these characters, on the game board according to the rules. And for Rick's starting position, being here, we will have to place the survivors on the starting spot of Andrea, Glenn and Dale. So we have to go to these guys, to these fellows here. We will do an encounter there, and if we've successfully come through or overcome this encounter, then we will be able to take the follower with us. Here you already see the next deviation from the standard play of the solo game. Normally there are no zombies on the board. The solo variant here, Atlanta Be Damned, already starts with a whole bunch of these zombie tokens here. The zombie tokens are two-sided. On one side there's this nice artwork, and this is really different artwork, which is what I really like. And on the back side I show you a different one. There's a number, I think from 1 to 10 they should reach, and this is the amount of zombies that are actually behind each of these tokens here. So this can be a really nasty situation if we have to face the zombies, and I guarantee you we will face many of them. What's the goal of this game? Normally in the multiplayer game you will have to scout 3 locations in order to win this game. The game is not really cooperative, but there is a cooperative mode in it, so anytime during the play you can group up to overcome some obstacles, but in the end only one can win. In a solo variant that's more or less the same. You will also go for 3 locations, but again for this Atlanta Be Damned solo variant we will have a fixed set of the first 2 goals. So first of all we will have to go to the stadium and to the gun shop. They are both of course in the middle of Atlanta, so we have to go through hordes of zombies here. And the third location is dependent on your starting character. Again, this is something that's coming from this Atlanta Be Damned variant. In the case of Rick, this would be the wheelchair estate, so we'll have to go back to our starting location, and then we will have to deal with the wheelchair estates, and we will have to encounter the third location. Of course, you can see here this is a condition and have more survivors than any other player. That's not possible in a solo variant, but Bobby came up with a good solution to that. He said you have to have at least 4 survivors with you. So we will place our third location here on the game board as well. In the multiplayer game, each player also has one, let's say, private individual goal that only he and he alone can try to scout, and he keeps that hidden. So you have always a selection of 4 possible locations which you can scout to. So what do we have to do? We have to free our 3 followers that we placed already. Then we have to go to Atlanta to go to the football stadium and to the gun shop, and afterwards we have to reach out to the wheelchair estates, and there we will find our safe harbor basically. And now we are already good to go. Of course, I already prepared the zombie pool, and these are not all the marks that are available, but as I have to shuffle them and have to bring them on the right side, so you only see the back side, I only prepared some of those. I think there are around double the amount of these tokens in this box, so you really get a load of cardboard material. You will learn the game with me as we play, and fear not, really after the second round you will be a pro yourself. The rules are pretty simple. Of course there are always some exceptions on each of these encounter cards, but I try to explain them as good as I can. So let's get started with Rick being our only team leader at this point in time. And these are the actions that you are allowed to take during your game turn. First of all, you could recover, so you could spend food in order to heal some fatigue from your survivors. Then you could move. Then you have to draw encounter cards if you are on a resource space or on a location space. And then you would end your turn. And I think the first thing we have to do is to rescue our followers. So we will start with Ben, I guess. So we'll run by Atlanta by north. So what can we do with the movement action? We would be allowed to move 1, 2 or 3 spaces. You always have to move. There's only one exception. If you are at a location site where you want to encounter or scout the location, then you would be allowed to try it a second time if you failed the first time. We could already spend 1 fuel in order to move farther. So for each fuel you spend, you can normally move 1 extra space. And an additional thing you can do with fuel, you can also pass over existing zombie tokens if you don't want to fight with them. But I think right now that's not what we're going to do. We will just move as normal. And I think we will move 1, 2 spaces ahead, and every time you leave a space that is not a location, you would place a zombie token on the field you left in this turn here. Of course we don't know how many zombies are following us right now, but this zombie is already waiting for us. Whenever you enter a field that contains a resource token, like here the food icon, you have to immediately stop your movement. You cannot continue in this round, and you have to draw yourself your first encounter card. So let's do that. And as you can see, this is a huge pile of encounter cards. I think the game ships with 90 of them, so plenty of randomness for me, which is good. So let's draw ourselves our first encounter card. And let's have a look at the anatomy of an encounter card. This card says split them up. There's always a very awesome artwork on them. It's little, but it's there, and I really like the artwork. I think I mentioned that already once or twice. Then there is a challenge, there's a success, and in most cases there's also a fail section. So first of all, we will read the challenge, and it says roll your dice pool. If you roll at least 2 of these heads here, basically an action symbol, you succeed in this encounter. Let's roll our dice. So that's our dice pool. We have 3 of these blue dice, 1 green die, and we are looking for 2 of these action symbols here. So let's hope for the best. Oh, and we are not lucky. Only 1 of these head symbol, and we would have killed 2 zombies, which isn't that bad, but we definitely failed our challenge here. And the fail section on our encounter card says put a fatigue on one of your survivors. Overall, that's not really that bad of a result. We can definitely live with that, but the success would allow us to draw a follower from the follower deck and put a fatigue on them. So we would gain our very first or our second follower in this case, so this was really a pity. I think I will place the fatigue token on Rick directly, and normally each survivor can easily take 2 fatigue. Whenever he would take his 3rd fatigue, he's killed and removed from the game. So, and that's a good thing. In most cases you can decide who will take the fatigue token. I will start with Rick, as I have to have at least 4 followers by the end of the game in order to overcome the 3rd location encounter at the Wilshire Estate. So I definitely have to keep my followers with me. After you dealt with your encounter, you're normally allowed to take the resource or the resources that are printed on the resource fill. In this case, this is only a can of food. Sometimes the encounter card tells you that you are not allowed to take the resource because when you fail that, but normally it really doesn't matter if you fail or succeed at an encounter here. So now we would be allowed to gain an additional food, and we definitely will use this food at the start of the next turn to heal Rick. And this was already the end of the turn, so we can start a new round, and as a new round you can use food to heal your characters, and I will use 1 food to remove this fatigue token from Rick. Okay, I think we will move on, and I see another resource field over here where we could get some gas, and I think I will go there. So that's 1. And this is already bad. I really hate these figures here. So 1, 2, and 3. And of course we have to place the zombies accordingly. So we'll have a zombie here, here, and 1 there. And then we will draw ourselves our encounter card. It has to be mentioned that on a resource field like this one, you have to draw an encounter card for each resource that's printed on it. So this can be pretty nasty. I think in Atlantis there are also resource fields that show 3 resources. So for each of these fields, you have to draw an encounter card. And this encounter is already pretty nasty. It says 6 zombies. The challenge is plain and simple, kill 6 zombies. The success would be to draw 2 followers from the follow deck. Neat, but I have my doubts, to be honest. But let's see what we can do about that. I decided to use these zombie miniatures from the Bag of Babes from the original Zombies game in order to see how many zombies there are still available. So we have to deal with 6 of these zombies, which we have to kill in order not to take a wound. And fighting zombies is pretty simple as well. You roll your dice pool and you hope for as many of these symbols as possible. So let's hope for the best here. And this is really a problem. Okay, for once we have this wildcard token here. This wildcard would already allow us to kill one of these zombies. We have still 5 more zombies to go, and this is really, oh, this is bad. Okay, but there's one thing we can do, and this is to use one ammunition marker. So we are down at 0 ammunition, and this usage would allow us to roll the ammunition die, the black one. This is always a hit, so it can reach up to 3 hits basically, but it can also lead to additional zombies, and I'm really hoping to avoid it. So let's roll the additional black ammunition die and really keep your fingers crossed. Okay, that's 2 hits, which is okay, I guess, because we can remove 2 additional zombies now. But we have to deal with a blam here. The blam means we attracted more zombies because we made so much noise. So let's move over to the game board and I explain to you what will happen now. We will now place a zombie token on each space adjacent to our current position here, but not on actual location. So we are really lucky that we are close to this location here, so we can have at least one escape space here. So, and there can be several zombie tokens on a space without any problems. So we'll have zombie tokens here, 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 and here. Additionally, we have not managed to kill all of the zombies. So for once, we have to take 3 fatigue at this point in time, and we can share them between the followers as we wish. And this time I think I will give 2 to Julie, who's still alive, and 1 to Rick, because I don't want this playthrough to end too soon, to be honest. An additional result of our bad die roll here is that we are not allowed to find any resources for this encounter. So there is only 1 resource, so we don't gain any additional gas here, which is really a pity. The additional zombies are just removed from the game and the encounter as well, so we failed it, and this is already the end of this game round. Again, we can start an additional round, and I definitely have to heal again, so I will eat up 2 food, and I think I will remove 1 fatigue from Julie and 1 fatigue from Rick. And as you can see, our resources are already depleted. This turn we really have to think of using any fuel maybe in order to get moving. But yeah, I think let's move over to the game board and see where we can actually move to. I think I want to reach the ammunition resource field over here. But we need 1, 2, 3, 4 movement points. So I will have to give away 1 fuel to move 2 spaces instead of only 1. We will place a zombie token here on this field. We will never place zombie tokens on actual locations during movement. So this was our first movement point. Then the second movement point, again we will have to place a zombie token here, and then we will come to this resource field over here and have to place a zombie token here as well. And again we will have to draw ourselves 1 encounter card. And this says don't have any left. Challenge, have 3 or less food. That's not a problem. We are down at 0 food, so we can go directly to the success. You may lose any combination of 2 fuel or ammunition to find food, and that's a problem. Any combination of 2. Come on. No, we cannot do that. So we are in a success, that's for sure. So we cannot directly jump over to the fail section. So we cannot do anything with our success here. Luckily, we are on a resource space, so at least we gain 1 ammunition, and this is really something we might be able to use in the next turn. Unfortunately, we don't have any food left to heal the fatigue from Julie, so we can start our next turn, I guess. And I think we will directly move to Ben. We need additional die in order to overcome future obstacles, so we will move 1, 2 spaces here to ban. Of course, we leave a trail of zombies behind us, and then we have to draw an encounter card in order to find Ben. Okay, let's see. Oh, okay. He's accompanied by 2 zombies. I think this is really something we can deal with. So the challenge is to kill 2 zombies. Yeah, let's move over to our dice pool. So we are looking for 2 hits basically. And yeah, that's not a problem. This time we rolled 3 hits, so these 2 zombies are definitely toast. So we can move over to our very first success, or real success, on our encounter card. And this says we are able to find 1 fuel. Awesome. So for once we gain 1 fuel because we overcome this encounter. Then we were able to find Ben, which is also absolutely nice, and Ben gives us 1 additional green die. Ben says if Donna is in your party you may not choose to place fatigue on Ben. Of course this makes sense, and I think this is really now a very or much better situation now. So we have 1 survivor more we can put fatigue on, so we can share the load basically a little bit. We get an additional die pool, which is always nice. So I think from now on we should be able to deal with the encounters a little bit better. We really would need some more red dice, or at least 1 red dice, because this is really our fighting dice. But yeah, right now we have to hope to get encounters that require action rolls here. So I think we can remove Ben here. So we found our first follower, which is awesome. And I think I will do 1 last turn, because the 1 last turn will be to enter this resource space down here in order to get some food and some additional gasoline. So let's see what we can find there. So we will move here. Of course we have to leave a zombie behind, and then we will draw our very first encounter card. It really doesn't matter for which encounter you for which resource you draw the encounter card. You have to deal with all the encounters first before collecting any resources. Okay, this says Siphon Gas. Challenge. Roll your dice pool. If you roll at least 2 action symbols, you succeeded this encounter. Okay, that's really something we should be able to overcome. Okay, that's our dice pool. We're looking for 2 of these heads. That's not a problem. We rolled 4 of them. So we are now able to find a little bit fuel, which is always nice. But this was only our first encounter. We have to draw ourselves our second one. And this is might have missed this place. You may choose to give 2 fuel to another player. If you do, you succeeded this encounter. Normally this would be a card which you would discard in a solo variant, but I think in this case we can just discard these 2 fuel, and this is also fine. So I think I will really give away these 2 fuel, and then I would be able to gain either 2 food or 2 ammunition. As I will get food from this resource field, I think I will go for the ammunition in this case. Okay, so that's 1, 2 fuel down. We gain 1, 2 ammunition. Then we solved or overcome our second encounter. So with this means we gain the 2 resources that are printed on the resource space. So this is 1 food and 1 fuel. So 1 and 2. Okay, I think I will end my playthrough for today. As of next thing, I think we will go for Dwayne and maybe even Rachel, and then we can move into Atlanta. But I think this should be okay for you, and you should have learned the game by now. As you saw, it's not really complicated, but it's still a lot of fun. I really enjoy this game, even though of this randomness and this complete different encounter cards that I'm playing. We were really lucky with only drawing 2 zombies, for example. There are encounters that will ask you to overcome 7 zombies and stuff. So, but this is really how it is in a post-apocalyptic world, I guess. As you can see, I already attracted a lot of zombies on the board, so really there are a lot more tokens that were originally on the board. And keep in mind, these zombies are only there because of this awesome Atlanta Be Damned solo variant, so thanks again, Bobby. I think there are already discussions on the Geek that say, okay, maybe we should consider having these zombies also move on the board. Maybe I will give this a try in a later session or so. Sounds interesting because it's strange that they are completely static. Still, you have to face so many of them throughout the game. I think it's still tough enough. I really hope you enjoyed my playthrough so far, and hope to see you soon in my next episode. And until then, bye bye.